let's just start at the beginning. I mean, tell me everything you remember from the 11th.
Oh, you mean just, well, it was a fairly normal day up to that point in the firehouse. Whatever normal is for firefighting, I don't know. But we had. I came in the night before. I was working a 24-hour shift, which we usually do, work 24 hours. So I came in on the 10th, and I started working at 6 p.m. We worked from 6 p.m. to 6 p.m. And it was a relatively normal night. We had a few runs, nothing big, no big fires or nothing. Just the runs. We do a lot of emergency calls. Stuck elevators is a biggie, especially in Midtown. You get a lot of stuck elevators. You get a lot of medical calls. We go, because we're all EMTs, so we go on medical calls. So it was a relatively normal night, nothing, crazy. And that morning, I was in my office. It was Tuesday now. It was the 11th. Tuesday is a busy day because we have to do building inspection. We have to go out in the morning for 3 hours and inspect buildings. So I was getting my paperwork prepared for that. It's a lot of paperwork that we generate tremendous, because we have to keep a folder on every building in the city of New York. So, and especially in Midtown, it was like mind-boggling with the amount of paperwork you had. So I'm getting my paperwork ready, having a cup of coffee, and I got the fire department radio on, obviously, in the office, and I hear that a plane had struck the North Tower. And of course, airplane. I assumed a small private plane, guy, something happened and the pilot hit the building. That was my assumption. I didn't know right away what it was, how big it was, So I'm listening, and a few minutes later, our computer goes off, which sends us out for different alarms. We get our runs through a computer. So the computer comes off, and I see engine 16 respond to the North Tower. So we have 60 seconds to get from receipt of alarm to when our wheels have to turn. They have this all figured out with computers. Our wheels have to be turning in 60 seconds, so we get out quick. There's no futzing around, You just grab your gear and you jump on the rig and you're going, So we're going down, and we had to go down to the Trade Center. Our firehouse was on East 29th Street. So we had to get on the FDR Drive. So we're going down the FDR Drive towards the Trade Center, and then we got to a certain point, because there's a lot of buildings, so you can't really see the Trade Center until you get down there. When I got down there and I turned and I saw the whole top of the building was burning. Like, holy cannolis, I didn't expect that. And then we got to near the building, and overhead, the second plane hit. Because when the second plane hit, a lot of debris came down from the building and the plane. And it was hitting the rig, boom, bang, bang, And then, of course, the second plane hitting, I realized, I said to myself, we're at war. This isn't just a coincidence that two planes, So the next thing I did, just standard operating procedure, I go into the lobby and I report to the command post. They set up a command post right away, The chiefs are there and they tell you what to do. So I walked in, I reported to the command post, Engine 16 reporting for duty, and the chief assigned me, I think, to I think I had to go to the 40-something floor and report to a secondary command post, which was upstairs. I think that's what he said. It was 23 years ago, so not a lot of it's not clear. So we got upstairs to about the 20-something floor, I think, and the South Tower collapsed. We didn't know the South Tower went down right away. Our building shook. I thought it was the elevators coming down, you know, breaking and coming down. That's what I thought, because the cable, the elevators are on top of the building. I thought that's what happened. That's causing the vibrations in the building. I didn't know that right away that the second tower, the south tower, had gone down. So, but we got an urgent message on the radio, urgent, you know, evacuate the north tower. So now we got to start down. Here's where it gets a little foggy. We started down, and on the way down, we found a lady, Josephine, with her boss. Her boss stayed with her. I forgot his name. I can't remember his name. Do you remember his name? No. Well, we started down. We picked up Josephine. She slowed us up. Now us, you know, because she had leg issues and with her body, and she was injured, and so she was going very slow. So we had she was pretty, you know, pretty big woman, you know. So it slowed our, which in a way probably saved our lives. Because had we got down to the lobby was a disaster. It all collapsed in the lobby. So actually, us picking up Josephine, slowing us down, probably saved our lives. The group I was with. When we got Josephine, I think now, I had my senior firefighter, Tim Marmy, on. I told him to take engine 16 out of the building, because there was no point for them, all of us, to slow up. So Tommy, I think they took, and they all got out. My company survived, engine 16. The company with us, because, you know, 2 companies in each firehouse, we had engine 16, ladder 7. Unfortunately, ladder 7, everybody was killed. They were in the other building. I think they were in the south tower, and they all died, every one of them. Well, my company survived. Nobody was killed. Now, I was slowed up, and got down to around I think it was around the 4th or 5th floor. For some reason, I remember seeing the number 5 in my head. I could see 5, because they, you know, they got the numbers in the lobby, the floors. I think I saw 5. So I think we were between 4 and 5, something like that, and down she comes, you know. Now, when the building started shaking, what I did, I grabbed my helmet and I ducked in a corner, a little corner. What I tried to say, to describe my feeling, was I was trying to crawl into my helmet, you know, because the only thing that could protect you at this point is your helmet, you know, protect your head at least, you know. And the building came down, and everything went black, and went from this tremendous roar, this tremendous noise, to total silence. So there was no noise, absolute silence, and no light, pitch black. So I'm there. And for a few seconds, I didn't know if I was dead or alive. I really didn't know. And I tell people, having no experience being dead, you don't know what it's like. So I didn't know if I was dead or alive for a few seconds. I really didn't. And then my radio started crackling, my walkie-talkie I had on. And I realized, well, there's probably no walkie-talkies in wherever you go after you die, you know, or hell or whatever the heck. So I realized I was alive, you know, and then, so I was sitting there. I thought I was all alone. I thought I was completely alone. And then a few minutes passes, and I started hearing other talking. There were other people there that were still alive. It turned out there was, like, I think 13 of us that were in that small section of the building that didn't collapse For some reason, now I went to a seminar once. I was an engineer, and he explained it. He says in every major catastrophe, there's always a tiny area that stays intact. Every day, so there was a tiny area on the Titanic that stayed intact. There was a tiny area in Hiroshima and Nagasaki when they dropped the bombs that stayed intact. And when the World Trade Center, the area I was in was the area that stayed intact. It was Stairway B, between the second and fifth floor. For some reason, that little tiny section did not collapse. And that's where we were.
That was a miracle.
You could call it that. Yeah, that we happened to be in that area. Yeah, you could say it's a miracle. It was whatever. I don't know how to describe what it was, but that's what happened. And we were there for a couple of hours. I guess it was dark, and you know, there was about 13 of us there, and I think there was 11 firefighters, 2 police officers, and Josephine and her boss. Maybe I can't remember. For some reason, the number.
So you guys are all on the radio trying to get somebody, right?
Yeah, we're on the radio. You know, we're calling Mayday and trying to tell them where we are. Little did we know that the buildings didn't exist anymore.
Did you know the whole building had come down around you?
That's the thing. We did not know that. I didn't know that for a couple hours.
What did you think had happened?
I thought that it was a partial collapse, and we were in part of the building that that came down. And then after a couple of hours, I'm in a pitch black dark corner, and all of a sudden, a beam of sunlight comes in, like a miracle. No, really, it was like a miracle. All of a sudden, this big beam of sunlight comes right in this pitch black darkness, and I'm looking out and I see the sky. It turned out that the building came down, but it didn't come flat down. It tumbled to the sides. So 20 feet above us, there was an opening. There was, a pretty decent sized opening, enough for a person to get out. It wasn't a big opening, but it was, decent size. So of course, we started crawling towards it. And just about the time that we were crawling towards this opening, the other firefighters that were looking for us, they came upon the opening at around the same time, and they threw ropes down, and and they helped us all get out, and so we all got out, and then. I don't have a clear memory what happened after that. There was ambulances there. I think there was a doctor. I think I went to see the doctor, to check me out. And they said I was all right. I had some sinus issues and eye issues. My eyes were a little blurred, but the rest of me was okay. Thank God, So, I think I just hung around the area for a while.
When you first saw what was left of the building.
I kind of neglected to tell you that. When I finally came out of that hole, this little opening, and I looked around, I was astonished. I was just taken aback. I just couldn't believe. Because you remember, we went in, it was 2 structures, it was just normal lower Manhattan, busy area, and they came out to total destruction.
The world had changed around you.
The world had just totally changed. And it was just, I remember coming out, looking around, being like, oh my God.
And you lived.
And I was alive, yeah.
You ever wonder why you survived?
I thought about that occasionally, of course, And there's no definitive answer to that. you know, I can't answer that question. I don't know why. Why 3,000 people, almost 3,000 people died, and I survived. I don't have an answer for that, you know. I mean, I thank God that I survived, of course, you know, or nobody, you know, but I don't know why we just, I just happened to be in that little tiny area that didn't collapse for some reason, you know.
I mean, they always talk about survivor's guilt. I mean, did you experience any of that, or did you just feel like
No.
God was looking out for you?
No, I didn't feel guilty. I didn't do anything wrong. You know, I went down there to help people. That was my job. You know, I was a firefighter, and my job is to protect life and property in the city of New York. That's what we take an oath to, and the Constitution, of course, you know. But we take an oath to protect life and property, and that's what I was doing that day.
And you saved those 2 lives.
And, well, I don't know if I directly saved anybody's life. I mean, I was there, part of, you know.
Well, if you think about it, if you hadn't taken Josephine and her boss with you, their office may have collapsed.
Well, they were already on their way
Oh, they were in
down.
the stairwell?
Yeah,
Okay.
they were in the stairwell. They were already on their way down. I don't know if they would have stayed where they were. I don't know. I can't answer those
Right.
questions, you know.
She probably feels like you saved her life.
Well, unfortunately, 10 years later, I think she died 10 years later.
Oh.
She passed away. You know.
Was it related to 9/11 or?
No, I don't. I don't think so.
Mm-hmm.
But who knows? You know, you can't. Did that have an effect on her health overall? I don't know that. You know, I'm not a doctor. You know.
So after you got checked, so you guys were mostly okay then, right? I mean, in terms of
Yes,
being injured.
yeah. Basically, all of us were okay. The ones, you know.
So did you guys go back to work after that?
Well, eventually.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think maybe a few guys retired, you know. I don't remember exactly, but I think mostly we went back to work. Yeah.
I mean, you know, after you survived this, I mean, did some of you guys say, okay, we got to get to work cleaning this up? And
Well, I stayed on the pile. I worked there for 9 months, and some guys didn't. Some guys went back to their, you know, houses, and they just went back to work, you know. I think a few guys did retire. You know, they had post-traumatic stress disorder, and I don't think anybody had any physical ailments. But I'm sure a lot of guys just didn't want to go back to work after that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they had it. That was enough. You know?
So you know, I mean, and that's understandable. Why did you decide to stay and work the pile for so long?
I felt obligated. I felt an obligation to stay there and search for, you know, the people, you know, the people that were. Remember in the beginning we were looking for survivors, and I felt a desire to do that. I felt that's an obligation. I'm obligated to help look for people, and then after a certain period of time. You know, we were looking for the bodies, you know.
Did you find any other survivors?
Yes, I did.
Wow.
Yes, I did. We found a couple. I don't remember clearly. The only thing I remember very clearly was I found my friend's body. I found one of the guys I worked with. It was around Christmas time, actually. It was, you know, a few months had passed. Yeah, it was around almost 3 months had passed, and we found a turnout coat, you know, a yellow with the yellow stripes, and we opened it up, and it was a I don't want to get into the details, but it was somebody I worked with and I knew very well, you know. When we saw the name in the coat, I remember that clearly, like how Oh man, you know.
That must have been a gut punch.
That was, yeah, that I remember very clearly. It was, I saw the name Kane, you know. In fact, Christine stays very in touch with his mother, Rosemary. Her and Rosemary talk all the time, you know. We become close since that, that terrible day, you know. So.
How has this changed you long term?
Excuse me?
How did 9/11 change you long term?
Whoa, well, I can't say for sure. I know after 9/11, within a year, I went back to heavy drinking. So, and that was a change, because on September 11th, I was clean and sober for 15 years, and then within a year, I went back to drinking, and I went back to heavy drinking within a couple. After I started drinking, right away, I was in the bar every day, and then when I retired, there was nothing to do except I just went to drink every day. I went every day in the bar. By 2 o'clock, I was in the bar, the local, you know, little pub where I lived, every day. Until that almost killed me. And then I stopped that. So it's been over 3 years since I had a drink, you know.
When did you retire?
I retired in 2006.
Okay.
I stayed another 5 years after 9/11. You know.
Yeah.
I didn't know what to do with myself. I could have probably retired after 9/11. I could have, because I had enough time in, and I could have probably gone out on a disability, but I didn't want to, you know. I felt a desire to go back to work. I wanted to go back and, you know, do what I did, you know. I didn't want to just be off every day, you know. I think this fire department is like that, you know. It's not just a job, it's a whole way of life, you know. And I was very grateful for that, you know, that it was funny how I became a firefighter in the first place. I never wanted to be a firefighter. I know, like, you know, kids grow up, they would be firefighters.
Right, yeah.
I had no interest at all in being a firefighter. I wanted to be a cop. I remember when I was 12 watching TV, I was watching a cop show. I want to do that. I remember it. I was watching TV. I was about 12 years old. And I went on and I became a police officer. And then one day after our tour, we all went to the bar, which we did on a pretty regular basis, you know, have a couple of beers before you go home with the guys, you know, and we're in the bar, a bunch of cops, you know, and I was a cop with them. So we all went outside, and before you know it, all the guys are jumping up and down, clapping hands, and they were taking the test for the fire department. The next day, there was an open test. You didn't have to register for it. You just walk in and take it. So we're all in the bar. We're all clapping. We're all going to take the test, and you know, and I go, oh my God, because I had no interest in the job at all at that time. So I remember I went home and I got up in the morning with a hangover, and I just, oh my God, I told the guys I was taking the fire department test and I got to go. So I got dressed and I went to the school where they were giving the test, and I took it. But then I totally forgot about it, because at that time I didn't have an interest in it. And then I went back, I stayed on the cops for a couple of years, and I ended up resigning from the police department after 4 years. I just was burnt out from it. I came very close to being killed twice. Very close. As a matter of fact, the guys who tried to kill me killed other cops. I don't know if I was surrounded by 3 guys with guns once. I don't know how I got out of it. I called the 1013 on myself. I had already, you know, and the sirens went off and they ran away. But they had already killed about 6 cops, this group. They were called the BLA at the time. And then there was another incident at Tompkins Square Park where a guy, just a psycho, he had a butcher knife under his coat, and I saw him, and I didn't see the knife and nothing, but I looked at him, and I just didn't like the look.
Mm-hmm.
So I went the other way. And it turned out a couple hours after that, he killed another cop.
Wow.
He had a big butcher knife.
Wow.
I wish I would have stopped him. But I didn't know, I didn't see the knife. He just looked like whoa, somebody stay away from you. So, but yeah, he killed. So I had a couple close incidents. Now I don't know if that caused me to leave the job or not. I don't know, but I know after a while I didn't want to do it anymore. In fact, I was going to go to law school, become a lawyer. That was my goal, to become an attorney. And then I went back to school, and I don't remember exactly what happened, but I needed a job. I needed to make some money. So I took at that time the city was laying everybody, they were laying off cops, firefighters,
Mm-hmm.
but the transit authority was hiring. So I got a job driving a bus.
You've done a little bit of everything, haven't you?
So I was driving but I did not like it. It was good money though. You made as much as a cop or a firefighter as a bus driver. So, but I didn't like it. It was so boring, And then one day I came home from work and it was a letter, and it said I could be appointed to the fire department. I'd forgotten about it. It was 7 years ago that I took the test for the fire, and here I got the letter. I'm being appointed to the fire department. Yeah, I read that. Yes. That's how I ended up on the fire department.
Wow, that's crazy. Wow, you've done it. You've done it all, haven't you?
I've done a lot. Yeah, I was in the Marine Corps too. I did that for.
Wow.
Yeah.
So tomorrow's the anniversary.
Tomorrow's the big day.
Yeah.
Tomorrow's 9/11.
What are the anniversaries like for you?
They're a bit stressful because we have to be up early in the morning, and somebody's picking us up. A firefighter, a chief from West Haven. What's his name?
Deputy Chief Billy Johnson.
Deputy Chief Billy Johnson is picking us up, and he's taking us into the city. I'm going to go visit my firehouse with the guys and gals, and then we're going to go to the church. They're going to have a ceremony at St. Bartholomew's, I think it is. And then I got to come back here and do a ceremony with the mayor of West Haven.
Mm-hmm.
What's her name again? I forget.
Oh, Dorinda Borer, yeah.
Yeah, she's very nice.
Yeah.
Very, very nice lady. We've met her. She married us, actually.
Oh,
Me and
wow.
Christine, yeah.
What's what's that like when you go back to the firehouse?
It's nice in a way, like it's just to be there and be with the guys, and now it's guys and gals, it's changed a little bit, and you have coffee, and you see everything, and they still have in the firehouses there's a chart, and they put everybody's name on it, who's working that day.
Mm-hmm.
They put the officer on top, and then the firefighters. Who's ever working that day, and that, short time they erase it and put the new ones. They usually chalk, and they have the chart from 9/11 there, encased that day. So I always stop and I got to look at that. It just like brings you back. Like the guys that were working that day, and. So it's an experience going back,
Oh. All right. I think it's all I have to ask you. Is there anything else that you left out?
Well, I can't really. It's the one thing that happened to me that a lot of people were surprised to hear was when the special forces took out Osama bin Laden. Everybody thought I was going to be very happy, and I wasn't. I was kind of a little troubled by that. I wanted him captured, and brought to trial, I wanted to see that trial. I wanted to hear what he had to say. I wasn't happy that he was killed. I wanted him on trial, you know, and then punished, of course. But after that, but
You feel like you would have gotten some answers?
maybe, I don't know. I can't say for sure. But I didn't want to see him captured and put on trial, and hear what he had to say for himself.
Yeah.
I was a little disappointed, a little bit, you know, that it didn't turn out that way. But you know, it is what it is.
I know what I wanted to ask you about too. I mean, I noticed you said you have a cough now. What kind of health problems have you had since then?
I've had no serious health problems. I've had this constant sniffle constantly. It runs 24/7. You know, I walk around with napkins all the time because I'm always blowing I got damaged sinuses, and my eyelids were somewhat damaged, but nothing serious. I could see, but I did have some damage. My eyes get itchy a lot, you know, and the sinuses are always running.
Do you know any guys who ended up with cancer because of 9/11?
Not me. I don't have cancer.
Yeah,
I didn't
but
get it.
any of the guys that you know, did they end up getting sick?
Oh, a
afterwards?
lot of people died. Yeah, a lot of people got cancer and died. In fact, they lost. Now they just was on the news. I just saw it recently. More firefighters died from 9/11 disorder than died on 9/11. I think the number that firefighters has passed away from 9/11 disorders is 346. I think that was the number they gave. We lost 343 on 9/11. Now we've actually lost more now since 9/11 because of 9/11. So that's and for some reason I thank God all the time. I'm relatively healthy.
You've been lucky twice.
Yes, yeah, you might say that. You know, very fortunate that the way things worked out. You know, I'm still here.